Welcome to another vlog, Divas and Dollies. Today I'm going to be going to the Thrifty, but before that I have this little clip of my pretzel pony and I enjoying pretzels. Y'all, the Thrifty really came through, for me today. I found this, Diva Miss Piggy during Pride Month. I found a whole bunch of Build-A-Bears wearing really nice clothes. I found this Tinkerbell tin case that I loved, and this little Mattel dolly and another one from back in the day, as well as this pony reproduction.
Is that gonna be the thought?
Y'all, the way I actually struck gold today with all of my finds at the Thrifty, I'm completely satisfied and I cannot wait to do a little restoration on a lot of these vintage dollies that I got. Completely forgot to mention that I found this kitten surprise doll at the thrift store that I went to before the other one. I am with the plushies all clean and all washed, as well as their clothing and whatnot. I'm really happy that I was able to get more Build-A-Bears, as this little guy right over here looks really vintage as well. I'm gonna have to stitch him right back up though at the back because his stitches came undone, but that's alright. This looks like before they started switching to putting the BAW or whatever on the paw, or what do they put? BAB, not BAW. But yeah, this one's sound still works after washing it and drying it. Anyways, I got her because she was incredibly vintage, and I've always wanted this Build-A-Bear dress for one of my little Build-A-Bears, so she was wearing it and I had to have it. This little bunny rabbit over here also came with these little strappy clear jelly sandals. I'm really happy about that. And the little bear came with these little sneakers that are just the cutest things ever. I love the vintage Build-A-Bear clothes because they were honestly much better quality than what we get now. And we have this G1 My Little Pony reproduction from 2018. Don't know what her name is, but I don't have that diva yet. And then we have another Build-A-Bear fashion. This one is a Minnie Mouse fashion, and I love this graphic because I have a Minnie Mouse doll that kind of looks just like it. And we have this very, very cunty diva. I can't remember what doll this is from Mattel. I believe her line name starts with Lil Miss, and this might be Lil Miss something. I know I already have Lil Miss makeup somewhere in storage, but I just had to have this diva because she's vintage and she just has the sweetest face ever, honestly. And I'm gonna have a really fun time restoring her, as well as this other diva over here. I don't know who she is, but I got her because her face is also really, really cute. She has a body mold or head mold of 1993, so I don't know if anybody knows who she is, but she is the cutest little darling thing ever, and she came with a little Western outfit, so I went ahead and watched that already. And over here we have this kitten surprise kitty from 2018. I went to one thrift store with my boyfriend before going to another one, and this was the only thing that I found. This poor little thing was on the floor and she had very mysterious stains on her, but I've just given her a little wash and dry. She also came with these two little kittens, but the face paint on them has kind of wore all the way off, especially after throwing them in the wash. I don't know if that was exactly my fault, but I really just wanted to have them clean before putting them on my bed anyways, because I would recommend that you clean all of your plushy shit before putting it into your room and whatnot. But I'm just gonna have to go ahead and repaint that, or find little eye decals to stick on. But I'm glad that she at least came with two of her kittens, because I've always wanted one of these little dolls, or one of the puppy surprise plushies. And this one isn't from the early 2000s, from the glory days, but I am glad to have one in my collection at least. And then we have this little Beanie Babies Teeny Beanie Boppers. Her name is American Millie. And I got her because she's just the cutest little thing ever. I'm literally a little sucker for rag dolls and groovy girls and just little plush things in general, and this one is one of the sweetest things I've ever seen. And I just love the outfit that she's wearing. It just looks really nostalgic and 90s coded, honestly. But yeah, stay tuned for the little restoration on these little dollies over here, because those are really the only plastic fashion dolls that I was like able to find this time around. But yeah. Here I am repairing this diva. I had to go ahead and sew her back up because after the laundry she was leaking stuffing everywhere and that was no good. So here I am patching that up with my cat and my boyfriend as the cameraman. I'm really glad I was able to patch this little bear up because I honestly just like adore Build-A-Bears, and it's really funny that like I had to go ahead and like sew it back up myself anyways because the factory stitch came out after all of these years, but I really had a lot of fun with this. Divas and dollies, I'm literally about to start the actual restoration process on these vintage girlies right over here. I've already gotten all of the plush dolls and their clothes and the dollies' clothes washed up and whatnot. Thankfully, I laundered them last night as soon as I got everything. But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and make over these divas. It's gonna be pretty self-explanatory, but like, I'm gonna be using my new Garfield wire pet brush because my old one died on me during my before my Princess Celestia restoration. RIP, I literally had that one ever since I was 15. So sad. But yeah, gonna be using this one. It's cunty because it has Garfield on it. And then I'm just gonna be using a toothbrush to be cleaning up the surface stains and dish soap and whatnot. And then conditioner later. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and switch the camera angle now. I'm just gonna start off by disinfecting this little pony over here. I still haven't identified her yet, but I'm going to like really soon. But yeah, I'm really happy with the tiny little lot of vintage dolls that I got. I know the pony isn't exactly like vintage, but like it's made in the style of like the vintage pony, so I'll take what I can get, really. I know that some of the glitter is rubbing off of her cutie mark, but like overall, I'm glad that like that pony is like really in great condition. I had to get like a bag full of like other dud toys that like went straight in the trash, really, just to get her. So yeah, I'm really happy I acquired her. I still need to identify this tiny little like baby doll over here, but like as soon as I saw her at the thrift store, I saw that sweet little face and I was just like immediately brought back to like a time that like I didn't really like experience. But like I don't know, I kind of really like how her face looks very like cutesy and like maybe a little anime looking, very like shoujo anime looking, if I do say so. She kind of looks like a magical girl, honestly. But yeah, I'm really happy that I got this one, and I think I'm able to get off that little stain at the back of her head at the end, which was really, really nice. But her hair definitely felt the crunchiest, and I went ahead and I disinfected it twice with dish soap because I don't know, it honestly felt the driest and most like icky for some reason. But yeah, here I am scrubbing her down. I feel like at a lot of thrift stores nowadays, I'm starting to see a lot of things from like 2015, the like early 2010s, like maybe 2020 as well. And vintage things seems to be a little bit more few and far between sometimes when it comes to like fashion dolls or whatever. I feel like there are always vintage porcelain dolls around there. That's always going to be like it, like a a section and like in like a whole bunch of like inventory. But like yeah, I love finding these vintage dolls at the thrift store. It's really nice. I feel like these tiny little like Mattel like baby dolls from the 90s were like really common back then, and like they would always try to like sell them and like market them with like a whole bunch of like gimmicks or like that would come with like a bunch of different outfits and accessories. And like I don't know, I really love how the faces end up looking on these, and like I ended up like seeing them like just alone by themselves and feeling like so maternal towards them for no reason. I just didn't want them to be alone like on the shelves and whatnot. But yeah, I'm really glad I ended up getting both of them, especially this one because I want to go ahead and like make her outfit a little bit better too over time. Now, I wasn't exactly looking forward to disinfecting and overall dealing with like her hair and like detangling it, simply because I had to deal with another doll from this line, and it took me a long time to get through it and like just to deal with it because her hair was really tangled up. But thankfully, this one didn't like really take me like that much struggle. I still struggled, but I didn't struggle that much or like as much as I did with the first one. But I'm really happy that I got this one because I just love the makeup on her face. And I think her hair changes color too with like icy and like warm water or whatever. And it's really fun that it still works. I still have to go ahead and like identify which years these dolls came out too. I'm incredibly happy with this thrift store pull that I got this time, especially because of like a lot of the vintage finds and like other things that like I've been wanting for a while, especially the kitten surprise doll. I know that that one's from 2018 and like not vintage, but like I'm still so happy to have like any doll from like or plushie from that plushie line or whatever. And like just overall with like the Build-A-Bear stuff that I got, I'm just incredibly like happy with it because vintage Build-A-Bear stuff is just the most well-made stuff ever. And I just need to go ahead and like see what names they called like some of the outfits and like shoes that I got. But yeah, pretty soon I'm gonna be going ahead and detangling these divas right over here just as soon as I finish disinfecting Miss Biggie Biggie Baddie over here. Y'all, comment down below what your favorite thrift store find ever was. I'm really, really curious because I honestly don't think that I've come across my absolute ultimate favorite thrift store find. I feel like I have yet to get that, but I've come really, really close to finding some just like incredible things that like I've been able to add to my collection at the thrift store overall. So like, yeah, sound off in the comments if you would please, or if you would like, because I'm very, very curious. Here I am finally going to start detangling this little diva's hair. It was honestly the most dried up, tangled up thing I've like witnessed in like a little bit of time. But I'm really glad that I'm able to get through it in the end. But like, yeah, it feels really dry. Those bangs are really fuzzy. I need to trim some flyaways after the fact. But yeah, we're just gonna start off by giving her hair some moisture before the boil wash as well. I do apologize if some of this is a little bit out of frame. I was struggling just a bit with her hair because it was so dry, crunchy, matted, and tangled up and whatnot, but eventually, like in the end, you can still see what I'm doing anyway, so yeah. I don't exactly know what her hair type is, but it definitely isn't saran or kanekalon. It feels like some sort of nylon, but like one that isn't like incredibly like shitty, if that makes any sense. It's definitely not like the highest grade of nylon ever, but I'm almost 100% positive that it is not polypropylene. But yeah, here I am continuing to use all of my elbow grease to get out all of her tangles. At this point, the brush was starting to go through her hair a lot more smoother, and it was definitely starting to feel a lot more like butter. So now I'm going ahead and just like getting her bangs together really quickly with the wire side of the brush first. I eventually switched to like the more softer bristled side just because it was easier to like grab at her bangs and like detangle them. But like, yeah, here I am pulling a lot of stray hairs to the front just to make sure that she has enough bangs, and I'm gonna go ahead and trim them later, of course, but her hair is a lot smoother now at this point. Y'all, I really want to find a vintage, like, complete Lady Lovely Locks doll at the thrift store. I'm manifesting it. I've been searching for that doll ever since, like, 2016 when I got into the collecting hobby, but I just never got around to getting her when she was, like, very cheap and affordable. But, like, now all of a sudden, like, more people found out about her, and, like, the doll line isn't as niche anymore, and, like, she's skyrocketing in prices on, like, the secondhand apps. But, like, I really want to find her out in the wild at the Thrifty. At this point, I turned on the completely hot boiling water from my like hot faucet, just because I really, really wanted to make sure that I was like brushing it through her hair and like smoothing it out. I really don't want to go ahead and like have to straighten her hair after the fact, just because I don't think that it's like necessarily that like damaged and like sleek looking. So here I am just going ahead and soaking this little diva now in warm water just so that I can be able to run a brush through it. Now I am going ahead with my very cheap Dollar Tree conditioner, and I am just using a very, very generous amount of it to just like coat one section of her hair in it completely and like lather it up just so that I can do this hair in like two sections, because I remember my one fault from doing the first doll a couple years ago from the same line was doing the whole head at once, and it was a complete disaster. It was a mess. It was like water everywhere, hair conditioner everywhere, you know what I mean? But now I'm a little bit better at like doing these restorations and like especially the detangling part, so yeah, that's why I'm doing it in sections this time, and it's a little bit more easier for me even though I am struggling still. Her hair was honestly the driest at the ends, but thankfully she only really shed that one strand of hair that you saw just being ripped out of her scalp. I'm glad that she didn't get bald, considering the fact that these plugs are spaced a little bit far apart for my liking. But yeah, it's a little bit easier to run a brush through her after I get through her really, really dry ends. And I start to see the different like color change aspects of like, I guess, her gimmick happening, which is really neat. Now that one side of her head is basically detangled, I'm going ahead and I'm putting conditioner on the other side so I can go ahead and work on that monstrosity. Thankfully, it didn't really take me like way too much time like sitting here or like standing there at like above the sink doing all of this, but I really love just taking the time and like beautifying the doll's hair in general to like make sure it's as sleek and smooth as possible. At this point, I turned the very hot water on again to go ahead and rinse out and like brush out the conditioner from the doll's head. I'm gonna spend a long time rinsing out the conditioner from her hair simply because I used such a generous amount of hair conditioner. But honestly, if I didn't use all that conditioner, it would have been way harder to detangle this hair. But yeah, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter what type of conditioner you use or like how much money you spend on it. It's gonna work just the same, and it's gonna have the same results. But with the cheaper one, you're gonna have to use like a lot more of it. I'm really glad that I noticed the hair on both of the blonde dolls like brightening up as soon as I disinfected it and then detangled it with conditioner. For some reason when I got them, like even under like any lighting that I put them under, the hair just looked really gray and like grimy for some reason, but after doing all this stuff to their hair, it just like brightened up in color a bit, thankfully. Here we have all of the little diva dollies, completely restored, but not dry yet. I went ahead and I disinfected them, scrubbed them, detangled them, and then I gave them their little boil washes. And now I just have to let them dry. And I have my little Diva Build-A-Bear right over here in her nice clean dress and her nice little sandalias. I really love these. And I think her face is very darling. And I went ahead and I disinfected that with wipes, and now I keep all my bracelets in it and stuff. But yeah, I already went ahead and like trimmed up some of like the bangs and stuff like that, and I'm probably gonna have to trim up her hair a little bit after she's dried, but yeah, I'll put these divas back on camera once they're completely restored. Hello divas and dollies, it is the next night and all of the dolls are completely restored and dried up. I'm really happy with how they turned out. Specifically my girl over here, Lil Miss. I'm just gonna call her Missy because I don't know what her actual line name is, but her hair looks like this. I know it still looks pretty frizzy and like it has like a whole bunch of flyaway still, but for now, I'm just gonna be running another brush through this because I have not run the brush through this since it was underneath the water last night. But this is how it looks, like completely like untouched and undisturbed. You can see a little bit of pink in her hair right now, because I think this doll has a color change gimmick. As you can see, she's a little bit baldy up in the front over here, but like that's honestly okay because she has the rest of this hair. But yeah, really love her sweet face. And she's wearing a nice little bathing suit, so she is the perfect summer doll, honestly. And I really love her makeup specifically, just like this little heart over here too. Putting her down, we got this diva over here. Now her hair still kind of looks a little bit like scratchy almost. I need to trim the flyaways up a little bit more. And I need to try to like identify this doll and figure out who she is so I can see if she had like a factory ponytail or if this is like how I'm supposed to keep her hair. But for now, I think she looks really darling. And I'm happy that I was able to like launder everything of hers. I momentarily lost like the little piece of underwear that came with her and then found it again after ruffling through my laundry basket. Because I simply just like threw all of these in together at the same time, just because I could not be bothered to wash them separately. But yeah, she's got this cute little pink bandana, this double denim piece outfit with this little fringe skirt. It's honestly the cutest thing. And her hair is nice and detangled now, but I have to go ahead and give these divas like actual like kettle boil washes. And last but certainly not least, we have this tiny little pony over here. Still don't know what her name is, but she is all restored now, thankfully. This high-grade nylon is silky soft. She doesn't have a stain on her, thankfully. And I'm gonna have to go ahead and like repaint some of her cutie mark like later down the line, but at least it's still completely visible, and like for now she's like basically like completely restored. And here we just have this tiny little tin over here. Like I said before, I already disinfected this. And I just literally use this for like my bracelets and like other things. I just put these little G4 like ponies in here because I simply had no idea where else to put them and I did not want to lose them again. I literally got these at Five Below, I think around 2018 or 2019. But yeah, I literally hadn't seen them in like a while, but when I went into storage looking for some G1 dolls from Monster High, I found them. But yeah, that's what I use that little tin for. And it's honestly the cutest thing ever. I love Tinkerbell merch. I really, really want to get more of it, especially from this like generation of Tinkerbell merch. But yeah, that was a little restoration, plus all of the little plush divas over here that I have went ahead and washed and laundered and whatnot. Let me know if you divas liked this little thrift haul because it was honestly the funnest thing ever filming and editing and whatnot. But yeah, I will see y'all in the next one. Bye, divas. Stay safe.